Dr. Yugraj Singh Yadava is the director of Bay of Bengal Program Intergovernmental Organization. He was instrumental in the establishment of Aquaculture Authority, which later became Coastal Aquaculture Authority. His research area includes riverine ecosystems and floodplains. He was instrumental in popularization of sustainable aquaculture practices in rural areas and code of conduct for responsible fisheries.
Thank the organizers for inviting me to this program and also giving me a slot for making this presentation. I have been asked to speak on challenges in implementing integrated coastal zone management in India. Though it's not my pet subject, but I have tried to put together a set of about 20-22 slides and take you through the challenges that India confronts in implementing the integrated coastal zone management. Before I do this, let me also spend a couple of minutes to tell you my affiliation. I work with a regional fisheries advisory body, which is known as the Bay of Bengal Program Intergovernmental Organization. Presently, we have 4 contracting parties: Bangladesh, India, Maldives, and Sri Lanka. And we have 4 cooperating parties: Myanmar, Thailand, Indonesia, and Malaysia. The IGO has been institutionalized in 2003 from the erstwhile Bay of Bengal program of the Food and Agriculture Organization. And these 2 organizations together have now been in the area for the last 40 years. So we are celebrating this year our 40th anniversary. Ladies and gentlemen, in India, as per the Indian Space Research Organization 2011 figures, 500-meter distance from the high tide line landward is taken for demarcating the coastal zone. The salient features, the figures for coastline are varying, but I'm taking the figures from the Ministry of Home Affairs, which is very precise, in fact, 7,516.16 kilometer. I'm surprised how they arrived at this very precise figure. But the Ministry of Agriculture has a figure of 8,118 kilometer. And I think a presentation made in the previous session was talking about something like 7,500 kilometers. But okay, doesn't matter, if it is 7,500 or 8,000. We have 9 coastal states, 4 union territories, coastal union territories. We have 70 coastal districts in the country, and we have 13 major ports. And the total population of the coastal districts is 171 million, which is roughly 14.2% of the total population of the country. Now, what is integrated coastal zone management? I have picked up from the UN documents, and it says that it is a process for the management of the coast using an integrated approach regarding all aspects of coastal zone, including geographical and political boundaries, in an attempt to achieve sustainability. This originated in the Earth Summit in 1992, and the European Commission also defines ICZM as a dynamic, multidisciplinary and iterative process to promote sustainable management of coastal zones. It covers the full cycle of information collection, planning, decision making, management, and monitoring of implementation. I also picked up some facts and figures from the Sustainable Development Goal, and in particular relating to Goal 14, Life Below Water. On my left hand is the global figure which says that the coastal and marine resources contribute about US dollars 28 trillion to the global economy every year. And the figures on my right hand side, they talk about the Indian situation. It says that about 35% of the population lives along the coastlines. We are the second largest producers of aquaculture. This includes both the freshwater and also the brackish water. We are the third largest producer of marine fish, and we are experiencing something like 15 to 60% of high erosion along our coast, and sea level rises by 1.33 mm per year on the coasts. Now, I have used the philosophy of the triple bottom line on describing the integrated coastal zone management philosophy, and I have economy and environment on both the sides, and is balanced by the society. And this triple bottom line is used as a framework for measuring and reporting corporate performance against economic, social, and environmental parameters. In the economy, we have production, services, goods, income, and profit. In environment, we have covered natural resources, water, air, soil, raw materials, and health. And in the society is the social, political, and cultural systems. I first take on the economy, and I have listed the 6 key economic activities in the coastal areas, and they are shipping, tourism, fisheries, farming, mining, and manufacturing. On my right hand side, there's a map of India, which in different colors shows the GDP, which is compared with population and the area of the Indian states. And you would see that the southern states, which are in green, there the GDP share is greater than population and the area share. And there are 2 states in the northern part of India, Haryana and Punjab, which also have a GDP which is greater than population and area share. In coming to fisheries, it contributes about 0.79% to the GDP, and its contributions are to food security, livelihoods, and economy. And you see this diagram, which shows how the marine fish production is increasing both in terms of quantity and quality since 2008. There's also phenomenal growth in employment in the marine fishery sector. I have compared the figures of 1980 with 2010. I also have the figures of 2015 with me, but due to paucity of time, could not put on this bar. And between 80 and 2010, the number of active fishes have more than doubled, and the sector is absorbing about 28,000 additional fishes per year since 1980. The coastal aquaculture has also experienced phases of boom and bust, and in the last 6 to 7 years, it's in the phase of bust. And I have compared the GDP of 2 states, one in the southern part of India and one in the northern part of India, with the export of shrimps. And you would see that the GDP of Chandigarh has been estimated at something around 25,046 crore, and Goa at 42,400 crores. And the export of shrimp in terms of Indian rupees is roughly 31,000 crores during the period 17-18. This just gives you an estimate of how important coastal aquaculture is for the economy, livelihoods, and also contributing to the GDP of the country. But there are variations, and these I have considered: high population density, sea level rise, water scarcity, and high property price. And we feel that these variations might hamper the uniform development in the coastal states of India. Now, coming to the environment, and I'm using the philosophy of mountains to mangroves or landscape to seascape, because the coastal zone management depends a lot on what is the flow of water from the rivers into the estuaries and then into the coastal areas. And the route from land to rivers and to sea is getting murkier. We have water absorption on the way. There is enormous quantity of pollution from both point and non-point sources that gets into the drainages, and there is increasing urbanization in the coastal areas. The water abstraction has been estimated, and I'm quoting a figure from the Geological Survey of Japan. It's a global figure which says that about 30% of the global sediments previously discharged to the oceans are now trapped in reservoirs behind dams. And I have some figures from the state of West Bengal. And in India also, some researchers argue that dams have made a huge contribution to the trapping of the sediments as the rivers flow from the mountains to the seas. Then the type and quantum of pollutants discharged into the coastal ecosystems of India. I have some figures on the sediments, industrial effluents, the sewage, which is largely untreated, garbage and other solids, and then of course the fertilizers, detergents, pesticides, tar balls, mining rejects, and in recent years the figures which are astronomical for the flow of plastics into the marine waters. The industrial growth is also encouraging in migration and expansion of cities. I have taken two satellite pictures of a city which is south of Chennai, Cuddalore, and you can see the density of population in 2003 and 2012, and I'm told that in 2018 it has further increased. The shipping traffic is also expected to proliferate, and I have some facts and figures from The Economist, the print edition of April 2013, and it says that the harbors on the eastern lobe of Indian Ocean could transform the economic geography of Asia. In India, the Sagarmala project is expected to create a large number of commercial ports, fishing harbors, fish landing centers, and this is definitely going to have a completely different scenario with respect to the coastal zone management. Now, coming to the last part of the triple bottom line, the society, and the issues here, I have clubbed them in knowledge gaps, policy gaps, and awareness and practice. And I have 3 slides, which have 4 boxes each. So on the demographic and structural issues, the issues largely relate to population, geographical spread, poverty, and information and policy. In the economic and political issues, the undefined property rights, multiple uses of resource, short-term investment paradigms, and the political commitments. In the governance issues, organizational cooperation, implementation of laws, human resource, and finally the financial resources.